Hello, welcome to CLSP Politics. Got a special report today on the shutdown. Well, as you guys know, I've been going through each state looking at all the congressional races. Well, this is going to be a sneak peek into my next phase, which will be looking at the senator races because we have senators that voted to end the shutdown. And I kind of wanted to take a closer look at which ones we can replace, when we can replace them, which ones are replacing themselves. So here we go. First things first, looks like Q4 is going to have a 1 to 2 point hit GDP wise. And the CBO is saying this is going to cost between $7 and $14 billion. I'll be honest. It's going to be between those two numbers, and we may never really truly know the final total as far as cost goes. These are the 8 senators that voted to end the shutdown. You notice that Chuck Schumer is not on this list. He's getting a whole lot of flack right now because this happened on his watch and he is the minority leader. Basically, what this boils down to is a complete lack of leadership and the fact that he's got all of these. He has 2 senators here that aren't even running again. So they have nothing to lose. They'll have their awesome, retirement pay from the Senate, probably a cushy corporate job when they walk out of their office, or they'll take all the money that they have and put it into a nonprofit or something, and they'll get a sweet little board seat of some kind. So those guys are gone. Dick Durbin, peace out. And Sheehan, thanks for all the memories. What we've got left is we've got 6 senators. So I thought I would concentrate on those. The guys that are jumping ship, nothing we can do about that. They're kind of doing it for us. So thanks. Real quick, Fetterman, he's kind of the one that everyone's been talking about. And I wanted to kind of look at where he is financially as far as how much money he's got on hand. And look at the last primary he ran in back when he was the darling of the Democratic Party in Pennsylvania. So when you look at it, it was 2022. Yes, way back then. And he handily won his primary by almost 500,000 votes. So, with 1.2 voting and you winning by 500,000, yeah, solid front runner. Do I think he can pull these numbers again? I have polling later in this video, and we'll talk about that overall. But yes, his polling is not looking good. He is, we've got a poll from 2024, 54% of Pennsylvania Democrats disapprove. So he's underwater with Democrats. And that's a 26-point drop. And what's weird, and then when you look at Democratic primary voters voters in Pittsburgh specifically, he's underwater there as well. His unfavorables are over his favorables. And then Pittsburgh is where his race begins and ends. So that's good news. And he has gained support amongst Pennsylvania Republicans who now have approval rating of him of 62%. So I'm not saying, I'm pretty sure Fetterman's not going to be a Democrat when he runs again. And but maybe there's a future in the Republican Party for him. I don't know. We'll have to see. Geez. So then we got the next one is from Nevada. Catherine Cortez Masto, who's sitting on 3.2 million. I mean, destroyed in her primary back in 22. There was literally nothing left. So I looked at some polling on her, and she's sitting at a 52% likely voter, plan to vote for Cortez. This was back in 22. And she's looking at approximately a 9-point lead. Now, I'm going to talk about how some older polls, this is not, of course, including any of the shutdown or any of that stuff. So um, we're gonna look for new polling. But I just want people to know where she was the last time she ran for office. And quite honestly, this is all the candidate remembers. Oh, I'm almost double digits, and my district loves me, or my state loves me. Well, I'm going to bet that's going to change quite a bit. Maggie Hassan, New Hampshire, small state, right? We were just looking at Pennsylvania, like 1.2 million participants in their primary. This is 94,000 participants. So, and she's sitting at 1.2 million, almost 1.3 on cash on hand. So, which actually isn't very much. I mean, it's probably a good amount for a state this size. It's so small. But I mean, there are congressional candidates with more money than this. So Maggie, could be, in her future looking at a primary. When you look at her polling, she's solid, 5 to 9 points ahead of her Republican challenger. She never really has faced a real primary, so that should be fun for her next time she runs. Real quick, like and subscribe. If you haven't been to my YouTube, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, or Substack, go check it out. If you'd like to donate to the work I do on this channel, you can go to my YouTube where there's a PayPal link, or you can go to my Substack and become a monthly member. Now, what's cool about Substack is you will see for your $5 a month, you will see special reports, papers, and once 2026 really gets started, starting January, I'm gonna have a lot of new shows and stuff coming out, and it'll be there first. Okay, Angus King, the only independent that voted to turn, to open up the government in Maine, which is like I just did it. I just talked about Maine yesterday. This just made Maine even more interesting to me, right? I think the Democrats are going to double down going after Susan Collins because can't really go after Angus King, but they can go after Susan Collins. Maybe they get a Democrat there. Maybe they don't have this problem in the future. And Angus King won his general by quite a bit. The Democrats barely even showed up. So he's a strong independent candidate, which means he's pulling from Republicans, independents, and Democrats. So it's a heavy lift, but I think after this, I think Maine might be up for it, especially when they look around and they see all their rural hospitals shutting down and stuff, because that's what's coming down the pipe. As far as his, approval rating goes, he's got 43% supporting him, 33% supporting his Republican challenger. This was back in 2024. So this is probably where we were up until about 18 hours ago. So we'll see. Maggie Hassan, sitting at 1.2 million, not very much, but New Hampshire is a small state. Won her primary handedly. I think this will be the last time that happens. And this was back in 22. So she doesn't actually go up for a little while. So it'll be interesting to see when she when she runs again. But when she did back in 22, she was beloved. I mean, 9-point lead against her Republicans. Some of the polls had it closer. It wasn't close. She still, of course, won. Then you got Tim Kaine. So Tim Kaine's in Virginia. We already saw what Virginia did. I have no primary data to pull on Tim Kaine because he just pulled out his win, and he won by 400,000 votes, which is solid enough. Guaranteed, if the memories stay with the voters by 2030, especially after all the stuff that we're about to go through the next 3 years of Trump, it may take 3 years of a Democratic administration just to clean up this mess. I'm hoping the voters remember this, but 2030 is a long way off. And he isn't the strongest candidate, but he did all right. And, you know, 10 points, solid. I mean, not a huge sample. I hate sample sizes under 1,500. This is a sample size of around 400. But, you know, he won his primary solidly and his general solidly by 400,000 votes. I hope the memory of the voters lasts to 2030. Jackie Rosen, Nevada. Yeah, primary was not a problem. Now, what's interesting about her is that, she, of course, ran in 24, so she's another 2030 race. And I hope Nevada remembers this. I mean, I'm sure it'll come up. It'll be brought back up during the primary for sure. And I'm more than certain that her campaign, just like the others that are going to be in 2030, are going to candy coat the hell out of this. So we'll see about that. And when you look at her polling, when you look at polling in general, it's important to note, right? So a lot of these polls are a couple of years old or 4 years old, and approval isn't a head-to-head. It's important to remember that. Approval ratings it's usually inter-party when they're talking about approval rating. It's not a head-to-head race because candidates can make the difference, right? Fetterman is by far the most vulnerable of all of these candidates. So he's the one I think that is most likely to be primaried. And let's be honest, he was going to get primaried anyway. And, all of these, of course, are context based, all of these polls. So, none of them are taking into consideration the fact that all 70 million people are going to lose health care. There are going to be hospitals shutting down all over the country. And this is one of the few things the Democrats could actually do to curtail that. And they didn't. So like and subscribe. If you get it, if you haven't already, I'm on, YouTube, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and Substack. You can go to my website if you're thinking about running for office. Happy to talk to you about your race. Real quick, just an overview. I got no recent polling on Jackie Rosen. Denver, she's not going to run for a while. Pretty much, where she's going to be. As far as like Fetterman goes, vulnerable. Hassan, unfortunately, is probably safe. Cortez Masto is more comfortable, not really going anywhere. Kaine's in a strong position. King is less secure, so we'll see about that one. And so what sucks is that most of these guys are either not running again, so they will feel no repercussions at all. Only we will. Only the people that they said they were there to serve, by the way. And then a bunch of them, don't run for a few years from now. In fact, all the ones that would have run in 26 aren't even running. So 2028 and 2030 are our next opportunities to get rid of these losers. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys. It's been great. Thank you for watching. This is going to be one of those it's going to be an interesting year. I'll see you guys throughout 2026. All right. Have a good one. Bye.